Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at a Aggro Swordcraft deck. At least I think that's what I want to call this deck at the moment. This is based on another Twitter deck that I saw, pretty much one for one at this point, and very generic aggro sword deck honestly, so there's not too surprising that this deck popped up. It was something I was actually working on making anyway. It just happened that a list while I was searching for other lists popped up that was pretty much exactly what I was going for. And of course, I mean, why wouldn't you run something like this? The Aggro Sword is always a reasonably cheap and effective deck. This one in particular only running the 3 Sky Commander Celia as legendaries, going back to those Albert days where you only needed 3 of a legendary in a deck to have it be substantially good. And the Dragonites I've actually found to be wonderful to use. I've actually really enjoyed using those, and hopefully I'll be able to play a lot more of those in the future, as they're probably one of my favorite cards to use just because it has so many options in it, and being able to choose 2 of those that synergize well is always a lot of fun. So if you do want to check out this deck, of course, the link will be in the description below, and we're going to get right into some matches. So for this video we do have 3 matches because as an aggro deck this is a pretty quick game. If you have noticed, I do have all the new leaders. I did purchase all of them. I was debating on whether it was going to be worth it or not, and decided those cosmetics are definitely worth it, especially if they end up being a limited time event, which is always possible. You just never know with Psy games on what will end up being a limited time and what will end up nearly being permanent. I mean, at this point, the Street Fighter ones have nearly been out a year, and those don't seem to be going anywhere anytime fast, whereas the Fate leaders were a very short period of time. So why not purchase Granblue, even though they are owned by Psy Games? May as well get them in now if you want them. Plus the bundle does come really nicely with those sleeves, so nice thing to get when you can. So of course this deck plays very naturally. You just want to curve out as best as possible, get your things on board. The more you can stick to the board, the better your Sky Commander Celia will be. The better that is, the easier it is to win a game. It's pretty straightforward, and the new 3/1 Bane has been an amazing card. I thought it was going to be great because it is an ambush 3/1, and it turns out that it has been beyond my expectations for this aggro deck. Plus, with what everyone's running currently, aggro decks seem to do very well. The only tough matchup seems to really be Tenko, as of course the healing and the Tenko Shrine can be difficult to deal with if you don't rush them out before they build their board. So Kunoichi Training I do decide to use here because it's a rush and it's got enough damage to kill that, and allows me to go face for the 4 damage that I want, which does set up our Sky Commander Celia nicely, even if they do decide to deal with something here. Which looks like they just wasted all their points and aren't going to do, so we should have a pretty comfortable lethal at this point. I mean, we only need 4 damage and we've got a pretty nice 6 total with the Evo if we wanted it. Or 7 actually once you add Evo, so even better. So like I said, very quick games as it is an aggro deck, finishing at usually 6 or 7. It also seems like rune decks are picking up a little bit for these videos, at least normally, because our next match is going to be rune as well, and blood also seems to be picking up just a little bit as of making this video. And we're starting off with a pretty decent hand again. Goblin and double Oathless Knight are actually cards that I'm willing to keep. Oathless Knight can really stack your board quite hard, and against blood that runs a lot of low-end followers, they can be really good for their value. And we get a really nice way to use these as well. So this Goblin, Holy Bear Knight, Vals is going to do really well. Bewitching Succubus I think is actually a really nice card. I'm not surprised people are using it. I will be reworking a aggro blood bat deck, as I do love aggro bat blood, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Of course I would like to have more Waltz, but we'll have to wait and see. So we do get a nice trade-off. There's our Vals, which do decide to go with the Fatal Spell Bomb, as of course, as I mentioned, blood runs a lot of low-end followers, so Fatal Spell Bomb is usually the best thing to aim for, plus it's super low cost, so it fits nicely in our curve, wherever we want it. So we already have 2 Dragonite cards, which I like at both 5 and 8. I found that 5 usually I'll only use if I need lethal or to block out potential damage, whereas 8 I will use pretty much any time I can get it to go off for pretty much free. And there is Vera, a very strong blood card. Do wish I had more of her. Unfortunately I did only pull 1 in the expansion. Maybe by the time this video goes out I'll have more, who knows. As always, I do make these videos just a little bit in advance, so you can expect that there's at least a few days, sometimes even a week, depending on when I'm making videos, but in this case it is just a few days before this one comes out. that it's being made, so it's up to date enough. Of course, anything can happen the first week, so expect it to be pretty crazy. So we go face for a massive amount of damage, setting up the Dragonite for our lethal on turn 5. Unfortunately, I did forget Madness was going to buff that anyway. Luckily, we get to keep this board very, very comfortably, honestly. And there is the 8/8 there. I mean, it's already taken its effect there. So I do just like go for the Siegfried, as it does have Bane. This is what I love about this card, it's so versatile, and I expected it to be fairly good and be pretty prevalent as both a mid-range and control-y card, but I never really expected to use it in aggro too much, although it did have Storm, which did make me lean towards wanting to use it in an aggro deck, and this one seems to do fairly well with it. It was definitely a card I wanted to test out, and it seems to do really, really well. So if we add a little bit more to this card, we can boost our Celia up to a reasonable number, which since they don't have an Evo, Vera shouldn't really be a problem. And we can get a nice 1/2 down. This does leave them at 1 health and within range of our Dragonites. And there is the Proto Bahamut, clearing everything out, but leaving a very ample opportunity to just kill them off. I could have used Round Table Assembly there just to pull more Storm, but really wanted to use Dragonites in this deck because it is a great card and will make for a great card to put on the thumbnail, as it is awesome to use. Plus, Dragonites was the card I was planning to use to finish the game anyway. It just happened that I top deck a card that was easily just as good for that situation, with just as much damage.
I guess you're looking for a fight.
So Sky Commander Celia, Kunoichi Trainee, Bladed Hedgehog. Bladed Hedgehog, the only thing I decided to keep. I want to be a little more aggressive, so I do wanted to aim for that 1-drop. And we happen to get a pretty much perfect curve. Perseus Bladed into Princess is pretty ideal. You can't really get much better than that at this point. So we can comfortably go into the Perseus. All we're really missing is something to play on turn 4. If we can get that, we are set. But getting that on turn 4 could be the hard part. Of course, we do get another Bladed Hedgehog, so it gives us options, and it's going to be nice to use that at least. We're definitely not using it next turn. But even more options open up. So Valence is actually good, we can use that plus its spell on next turn, although I'm pretty sure I do miss that here and decide to just skip over that for this turn, as we do draw Goblin, and I think getting the Goblin out and using the Evo on that, while we lose a little bit of damage to face, it does present another body that has to be dealt with, and considering turn 5 isn't a turn that Rune can really deal with massively wide boards, it's usually turn 6 with young Levi, we're in a very comfortable spot. So I think we did make the right decision with this. It looks like we are pushing a Silverblade deck if we're seeing Mysterio with a bunch of Earthrights. That's usually what you'll see in play. And if that is the case, we definitely made the right decision. As going as wide as we can is going to be great. So they may be able to clear this entire board next turn, but even if they do, we are going to be able to go for lethal with Dragonites and Siegfried, so even with this Master Mage Levi, it's not going to be enough to win them the game.
It won't be long now.
And it's not Siegfried, it's Lancelot that has Storm. I'm trying to remember, I'm trying to learn all of the Dragonite's effects off by heart, and since there's 4 of them with very varying effects, it's very easy to forget. Usually I'll just double check when I need them. But it's a pretty comfortable 5 damage when you evo it, so worked out nicely to close the game at turn 6. So that does round out this video. It is a pretty traditional aggro deck in the sense it works very much like every aggro deck you've probably ever played. If you've never played an aggro deck, I highly recommend this. If you're looking for a cheaper alternative, this is one for you. I mean, only running 6, 7, 8 golds and 3 legends, that's an extremely cheap deck in these kind of metas. And in the early stages of the month, it's going to do fairly well normally. So if you did enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. Obviously give us a comment if you think this deck could do pretty well, and if you've had some success with it, you can find the link to the deck in the description below, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.